evening, everybody. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to our interim members meeting. My name's Elaine Dean, and I'm proud to be the president of our society. I'm delighted to be hosting this evening's meeting live from the Commemoration Hall here in Huntingdon. It's the first time that we've held a meeting in Huntingdon, and it's great to see so many colleagues and members. And with more than 10 stores and 5 funeral branches within 30 minutes of us tonight, it felt like a great opportunity to spread our wings. And I'm delighted to welcome food and funeral colleagues from across the eastern region of our society. Our members' meetings are a core part of our cooperative democracy. And you are our member owners, and this is your chance to have your say on the running of our society. Tonight's meeting is being held both online and in person across 5 venues. So some members are able to join us from the comfort of their own home, and there's other local meetings, and I'm sure they'll all want to cheer when I say their place names, so you won't hear them, but they can hear. So Market Harborough, they'll be cheering now. And I'm going to give a special call out in Derby for the Little Over store, which is my local store where I shop. Hello, Oliver and Josh and Morgan, everybody in Derby. Holmfirth in Yorkshire and Lichfield. So welcome along, everybody. And it's great to have you joining us, and please do get your questions in and we'll explain how in a moment. So with me here this evening, I'm joined by Debbie Robinson, our Chief Executive, Selina Butterfield-Mashufi, our Chief Finance and Technology Officer, Andy Seddon, our Society Secretary, and my fellow board member Bob Burton, down there, who is the chair of the Remuneration Committee and an elected director from this region. Bob's also a member of our funeral plan board, but he hasn't come here to measure anybody up, so don't worry about that. But I'm also delighted to welcome a co-op legend, the former president of the International Cooperative Alliance, Dame Pauline Green. Absolutely delighted to have you here with us, Pauline. Thank you. So we've also made sure that every meeting has at least 2 directors present and representatives of the executive and management, and we're to cover all areas of our business. Andy will shortly talk us through the Q&A arrangements, and then we'll hear from Debbie with an overview of progress across the society so far this year. Selina will then review our interim performance and the results at the half year. Later on, we'll hear about our exciting new charity partnership with the Samaritans. And I'm really delighted that Jason, Alice and Camlin have joined us tonight to share more information. And we'll also have a summary of some of our wonderful membership and community activities. We'll then head into the question and answer session, after which this broadcast meeting ends. And we'll move straight into the local meetings where we'll be providing an update on local membership and community activity. There's no voting at tonight's meeting, meaning that we've got extra time for you to put your questions. Here in Huntingdon, the local part of the meeting will be led by our Eastern Membership and Community Council, but each area that's tuning in at the moment will have their own local input. So I'm now going to hand over to Andy, who is going to guide us through the meeting arrangements. Andy.
Thank you, Elaine, and a good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome from me too. Now, we've got a small team across our venues tonight who will be keeping an eye on the technology to make sure that the meeting runs seamlessly. I'll just spend a couple of minutes now talking you through how to submit a question to tonight's meeting. To ask a question, if you're online, simply click on the Submit a Question box. You can submit a question at any time during the meeting this evening. For those attending our live venues, just fill in a question card on your table and share it with one of the officers who will make sure that it makes its way through to me. We'll also have some time for live questions from members who are here with us in person in Huntingdon. Now, time will prevent us from covering every question from every venue this evening, but we'll make sure that we share responses with you online over the coming days. So that's all of the meeting arrangements covered. So we'll swiftly move on, if that's all right. We'll move on to our Society's performance update, and I'd like to hand over to our Chief Executive, Debbie.
Wow, thank you, Elaine, and thank you, Andy. Hello there, everyone. I hope you and your families are well. It's wonderful to see so many new members in the room this evening, as well as familiar faces of some of our most active members at our meeting tonight. Welcome to all of you joining online, to those of you attending our local meetings. I hope your food was as good as it's been here, and I hope your room is as packed and full of energy, because you can really feel it from the minute that we walked in, and I hope that you get the most out of this half-yearly meeting. You are supported by members of our hard-working board, executives and colleagues. We are here to serve you, our members. As always, I want to start by saying a huge thank you to each and every one of you. Your continued support for our society helps us deliver our purpose of creating a sustainable society for all. And the feedback you share tonight at members' meetings is so important in helping us to shape what we do and how we do that. 2024 has been a challenging year for businesses and the communities that we serve. The war in Ukraine is now well into its third year and shows no signs of abating. Conflict in Israel and Gaza has spread across the Middle East region. They are stark reminders of the divisions in society, and our thoughts are with all of those living through conflict, poverty, political unrest around the world. Now, we are a society owned by you, our members, and we are committed to ensuring that our members see real value from their membership. We introduced more member prices this year, and it's helped you save £8.3 million so far. That's a 60% increase at this point last year. Now, in August, we witnessed the riots that took place following the fatal stabbing of 3 children in Southport. The riots were fueled by misinformation, disinformation, which spread quickly online. The new government acted quickly and decisively to address public order and tackle those inciting violent crime. Thankfully, disruption to our stores was minimal, and our colleagues and people teams stepped up to safeguard all of you, and especially our colleagues from ethnic communities. We are committed to playing our part in responding to antisocial behaviour and knife crime, and we've invested more than £700,000 in defibrillators and bleed kits in 300 of our food and funeral branches, so that we can offer services at the time of greatest need. This year has been a big year for co-ops. It's 180 years of the cooperative movement, and also 30 years since co-ops pioneered fair trade in the UK. And we're proud to be continuing the support of the co-op economy today with our innovative Malawi partnership, which strengthens trade and education through co-op to co-op support. Sales of the Malawi source products in our stores have now surpassed £500,000, and there's more momentum than ever as other co-ops begin to stock these products, helping to drive our mission of lifting communities out of poverty. As part of a continuous commitment to support cooperative growth, I'm also pleased to announce that your society has played a pivotal role in supporting the launch of a new International Cooperative Development Fund. It will launch on the 21st of December this year, exactly 180 years to the day since the Rochdale pioneers, the founders of cooperation, first began. The fund will enable co-ops worldwide to work together in solidarity, offering support in times of crisis, to rebuild and support post-conflict, as well as fostering long-term cooperative development. We have a new government, and within that government there are 43 Labour and cooperative PMs that form part of the new Labour government. They will play a key role in championing the cooperative movement. This will present the society with opportunities to work closer than ever and to support the government's mission to double the size of the cooperative and mutual sector. Following the election, we wrote to the new Prime Minister, to the Cabinet Ministers and all newly elected and re-elected members of Parliament with seats in our trading area. We've already seen a really positive response, with lots of people offering to come to our society and to visitors this autumn. New government policies are on the horizon, and we await the budget with interest on the 30th of October. Retail crime remains a serious issue, with over 21,000 incidents in our stores this year alone. That includes 1,200 incidents classed as violent, where our colleagues have experienced direct or indirect harm. This has also amounted to a loss of £4.7 million worth of stock. And top of the list is fresh meat, coffee and alcohol being the items that are most targeted. Our board, led by our Society President Elaine Dean, have shown outstanding leadership on this issue, using their wider networks and connections to lobby for change, and together we have succeeded in changing the law. With the July King's Speech confirming that the assault of a shop worker will now be a standalone offence as part of the new Crime and Policing Bill. This is a huge win for the retail industry. It's a huge win for our society and, most importantly, for our colleagues. Throughout the year, you, our members, have been shaping the future of membership, sharing your ideas and feedback. And over 15,000 members gave their feedback in our engagement survey earlier in the year, and have had a pivotal role in actually selecting the Samaritans as our new charity partners. This year, we're working harder than ever to encourage member economic and democratic participation. We're partnering with Lubico, part of Co-op Denmark, to relaunch a more compelling membership offer which will deliver what members have told us matters to them the most. Our performance has remained challenging in both our food and funeral businesses in the first half of this year. In food, unseasonably low temperatures and record rainfall in spring and early summer have significantly impacted our sales and contribution during what is usually a very strong trading period. Driving down the cost to serve for members and protecting and rewarding our colleagues has been our absolute focus. we made a decision to transfer our distribution services to the Lydia network, owned by the Cooperative Group, but it's a network that has encountered some teething problems that were quite predictable with this degree of change, which, alongside the more recent migration of Gold, our own system that manages product range and volumes across our stores, has led to some challenges around availability. The performance of our funeral business continues to be impacted by the low death rate and the expansion of direct to crematorium funeral packages, many of which can be purchased through online channels by providers that are new to the market. We are looking to grow market share in our funeral business and campaign for greater regulation in the funeral industry, as well as developing our online presence. We're well supported with a broad property portfolio that supports commercial business and broader strategic aspirations, including our route to net zero. We're very much looking forward to engaging with local communities around our sites, where we can review our property strategy, and we're keen to see how we can explore green energy bonds so that our members can support sustainable growth within their communities. We continue to invest in colleague pay, and earlier this year increased our minimum hourly rate to £12, including paid breaks. Following a business risk review, HMRC have improved our risk rating to low, recognising the significant improvements to our underlying controls and governance. We've managed our pension deficit and reached a position where we are no longer required to contribute £4 million cash per annum to the fund. We introduced a new executive and leadership structure at the half year. The new, simpler structure gives the focus needed to deliver our strategy in each of our businesses and unlock the potential of all of our difference maker colleagues. I am delighted with the response to the changes and the brilliant job Sarah, Andy and Selena are doing to get to grips with their new responsibilities. We continue to make difficult decisions and to invest in our society to ensure that we are well set up for the future. We have continued to work with our board and deliver tangible improvements to our core objectives, to growing our membership, to increase the reach to young people, and it's brilliant to see so many young people in the room this evening bursting with ideas and not afraid to come forward to ask for permission. And I say ask for forgiveness, but please go forward and implement those wonderful ideas that you have, as well as our journey towards green energy self-sufficiency. In July, we spent time looking ahead, the executive team and the board together, considering the long-term direction of the society. And 3 themes emerged that we will begin to explore over the coming months. Firstly, we have made a broad commitment to work closer with our other independent cooperative partners. We're already doing this when it comes to utility spend, in-store security, technology, company electric vehicles, and we look forward to further opportunities, particularly across overheads and other technological developments. Second, we'll be establishing a policies and campaigns group to guide us through potential opportunities alongside the new government, bringing about societal and social change. Finally, we remain committed to exploring new business opportunities with an initial priority to focus on strategically improving our core businesses of funeral and food. So if this year has been a big year, next year is going to be even bigger. 2025 is the UN Year of Cooperatives. We're already planning how our society can contribute and celebrate our own achievements in both the local and global communities that we're able to support, thanks to the loyalty of our colleagues, our members, and our customers. We are guided by founding cooperative values and principles, made relevant for members today. We have a great future ahead of us as a truly cooperative society. We are surrounded by difference makers with the power to seize the opportunities and to face the challenges head on. I would like to thank each and every one of you for your hard work, your commitment to making a difference to our members and customers every day. And I'd now like to hand over to Selina, who will take us through the numbers and our performance in the first half of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, thank you, Elaine, and thank you, Andy. Good evening to all who've joined here today at one of our streaming locations or watching online. Our financial performance is embedded in our cultural framework, and it's at the heart of our focus, and we're better every day. We use this scorecard to track our core measures of sales performance, our control of costs, and sustainable trading profits throughout the year. I'm pleased to join you today with summary financial headlines from the first 28 weeks of trading. Starting with our sales performance, we share two views in this year's report. The first is gross sales, and the second, as on this slide, is underlying turnover from continuing operations. We've introduced this metric to reflect the closure of the distribution centre in January 2024. It accounted for 33 million sales to other societies in the first half of the last financial year. In the first 7 periods, we have delivered 497.5 million of underlying turnover from continuing operations. This compares to 511.9 million last year. Our trading channels cover food, funeral, and property. The largest channel is food. And in our food business, this time last year, we experienced a highly inflationary context. We had double-digit food inflation that drove up shelf prices for the boxes of cereal, the pints of milk, and ultimately the value through the tills. This year, inflation has fallen faster than prediction, which is welcome for all of our members and their household expenditure, but it's reflected in the softening in the sales performance, as price inflation landed at 1.5%, which was under half the level expected. Our underlying trading profit from continuing operations was 4.3 million. This was a reduction of 2.2 million to the same period last year. The inflationary impact on food sales fed through to trading profit, and in funeral, the death rate has continued to decline. This has reduced the number of arrangements and has driven a 2.9 million reduction in trading profit when compared to the same period last year. We're in the first year of delivery of our strategic plans as we look to realise the significant opportunities to increase productivity across our business. Our profit reflects early delivery of these plans, along with cost control across our support costs. In broader financial headlines, cash generation has been stable at 17.8 million, and we have invested 11 million in capital spend. This investment has allowed our society to open 2 new food stores, regenerate 15 food stores, and 4 funeral homes. We have also rolled out digital shelf-edge labels to better support colleagues operationally in stores, invested in colleague safety, and furthered our solar rollout to support our short to medium-term ambition of energy self-sufficiency. Net assets are broadly consistent year over year. The slight decline reflects a reduction in stock from the distribution centre closure. Whilst the broader economic context remains challenging, we remain focused on delivering long-term financial stability and performance that delivers our purpose of a sustainable society for all. Once again, thank you for your time this evening, and I'll pass you back to Elaine.
So thank you, Debbie and Selina. And next up, it's our membership and community update. As a society, it's hugely important that we support the communities where we trade. And having a member-selected charity partner enables us to provide support to colleagues and communities at scale on issues that really matter. I'm delighted that through our partnership with Dementia UK, we've been able to raise more than £2.5 million in the last 7 years. And this short video highlights some of the ways that the money raised by members and customers has made a real difference.
Our partnership has raised over £2.5 million from colleagues supporting our Time for a Cup of fundraising to the Pennies Roundup scheme on the till. Just to let you know and to bring this to impact, because of your funding, we have increased the number of dementia specialist nurses, admiral nurses up and down the country, and particularly in the central region, and we are really grateful for that. And those nurses are out there working to make a difference to families. But it's not just about fundraising, it is about all the other things that you've been helping us to do during the length of this partnership. And that is your incredible raising of awareness for our services and what it do, your support for us on the ground and in localities, and your support for people with dementia and their families. Thank you ever so much from me and all of us at Dementia UK. You have made the biggest difference to people with dementia and their families. And remember where we are there for you. Despite the fact that our partnership is now coming to an end, we will still be there for you right across the central region. So thanks very much from me.
So tonight also sees us kick off our new charity partnership with Samaritans. And I'd like to welcome Alice from Samaritans team. She's going to spend 5 minutes introducing the work that Samaritans do and how the partnership with our society will bring about real difference. Welcome, Alice.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting us to be part of these important meetings. It's been lovely to meet and thank so many of you in person. I'm sure it goes without saying, but we are absolutely delighted that you have chosen to support Samaritans, not just this year, but over the next 3 years. And it's a privilege to be here this evening to let you know more about our vital work, how you can get involved in our partnership, and the difference that your support will make. As you may know, Samaritans is a charity working to reduce the number of people who take their own lives and help people who are struggling to cope. With around 23,000 volunteers and more than 200 branches and locations, we provide a confidential and non-judgmental listening service. This service is available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, offering emotional support to anyone who needs it. In fact, every 10 seconds, Samaritans responds to a call for help by phone, email, letter, or face-to-face. But the way people communicate is changing, and more people are seeking support online. Sometimes people are more comfortable typing than talking. Sometimes talking on the phone just isn't an option. That's why we're piloting a new online chat service. The funds raised through our partnership will help grow our unique listening services, enabling 150,000 calls for help over the next 3 years. But that's not all. Like Central Co-op, we work at the heart of communities, reaching out and working with schools, colleges and universities, workplaces, health and welfare services, homeless shelters, prisons, and other charities. We also work to improve support for people who have been bereaved by suicide. And if a tragedy or natural disaster affects a community, we may go out and offer support to local people or work alongside police or emergency services. Working together, connecting your colleagues and our volunteers in communities across the country, we can strengthen our local support, reaching more people who may be struggling and raising awareness that people needn't face their problems alone. We are always here to listen. Next slide, please. The first ever call was made to a pioneering helpline for people thinking about suicide over 70 years ago on the 2nd of November 1953. Over time, Samaritans has grown from having a few thousand calls to many millions of conversations with people each and every year. Being a charity, we depend on the generosity of the public and our incredible partners like Central Co-op to keep our vital services running day and night. We continue to exist because people need us, because people trust us and believe in our mission. Over the coming months, I truly hope that you will become part of our extraordinary service by donating or volunteering your time. There are so many ways that you can get involved. One of the easiest ways is to donate by rounding up your purchase when paying by card at Central Co-op shops or via cash in donation boxes at tills and funeral homes. Every £10 raised could help our volunteers answer a potentially life-changing call for help. Do Good Feel Good is a platform we built specifically for our corporate supporters to help them find flexible campaigning, volunteering and fundraising opportunities. Whether you have 10 minutes or a few hours, there are lots of rewarding ways to make a difference, from signing a petition to joining Samaritans Lived Experience panel. We believe everyone has it in them to be a Samaritan, and through the course of our partnership, I hope that some of you will feel inspired to become listening volunteers. If you can't commit to regular volunteering, though, you'll find lots of flexible, bite-sized activities on Do Good Feel Good, for which we'll share a link. And throughout the year, we'll share different fundraising events that we'd love you to take part in, such as Brew Monday in January, which is sometimes referred to as the most depressing day of the year. We say it's time to stop this myth about Monday being blue and instead have a cuppa over a brew. I'd also encourage you to consider organising your own fundraising activities like bake sales or raffles, which are relatively easy to put together and fun for everyone. Whatever you decide to do, we're here to help every step of the way. You'll also be supported by our amazing volunteers, some of whom have kindly joined us this evening. I'm sure they'd be delighted to tell you more about what's happening in Samaritans branches local to you, so please do say hello and take some of our leaflets for more information. It's been a pleasure to tell you about Samaritans' life-saving work this evening, so thank you for your time and attention, and thank you once again for believing in our mission and for wanting to help. I'm so looking forward to working with all of you and excited to see what we'll achieve together. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice, and we're really looking forward to our partnership and working with you. I know our colleagues will all pull out the stops to help. So it's an important issue, and I'm looking forward to seeing how our colleagues and members get stuck into supporting the work and raising the funds. So as from tonight, it's go on this. So our community support also takes place at a very local level. And I'd like to thank our membership and community council members and our wonderful MCRO team who organise a fantastic range of events and activities with our members and communities. And we'd like to share a short video which highlights some of our membership and community activities from the last 6 months across all of our trading regions. And I hope that you enjoy it.
We're a co-op, which means that every time you shop, you're also helping to give something back to the communities we serve. Our membership and community councils oversee our local membership and community plans and deliver a range of different events and activities that support our strategic commitments of growing membership, inspiring young people and becoming a more sustainable society. Here's a look at some of the activities we've delivered during the first half of 2024, with special thanks for all the support from our member and community relations officers and membership and community councils. As part of our commitment to offering active membership opportunities, we're proud to support more than 25 member groups where like-minded members can come together and learn new skills, including songwriting, art, dance and gardening. We've also set up some new groups this year, focusing on young people, giving them access to some of our fabulous sustainability and ethical trade resources. We're proud of our heritage and our roots in local communities, And in the first half year, MCC's organised more than 45 events, including history and heritage visits, community litter picks, and partnered up with other community organisations who share our values, including a partnership between our very own Glanfield Ladies Cooperative Choir and Wet Zone Theatre Company, who teamed up for their production of Sister Act. We've been working hard to inspire our next generation of cooperators, rolling out anti-bullying, co-op values and healthy choice workshops in more than 25 schools across the trading area, and delivering ethical challenge workshops in partnership with squirrels, beavers and cub groups. They're always keen to visit our stores. The Mind Your Money game has continued to engage young adults with workshops at Ripley Academy, the Home Firth Youth Group and a school in Scunthorpe to support the opening of the new store. Our ever-popular bike events were organised in all regions during the first half of the year to promote sustainability and the Society's fantastic bike repair stations. During Big Green Week back in June, MCC's partnered with food and funeral teams, promoting greener products and services across the Society. We continue to work in our communities to promote fair trade and ethical sourcing, partnering with local fair trade groups, delivering educational cookery workshops, as well as getting into more than 50 of our stores during Fair Trade Fortnight to showcase our fantastic product range to members and customers. We even managed to recruit lots of new members. We also trialled a rice challenge where students and their families were encouraged to purchase a single pack of rice from the Society's Malawi range to learn about how the rice sold in stores is helping farmers send their children to school. Principle 6 was in action during Co-op's fortnight, as we worked with our funeral teams raising money for local charities and working in cooperation on environmental projects, including helping to clear Bushy Brook in Southern Region. We showcased our Malawi partnership and hosted heritage visits to Black Country Museum, delivered cooperative masterclass to 100 scholars at Janogly City Academy in Nottingham. Our MCCs are committed to celebrating the diversity of the communities in which our society trades and delivers a range of events and activities with underrepresented groups, which have included partnership work with the Centre of Ethnic Health in Leicester, Project Abundance and Help, who support young refugees in Peterborough, and support for women's events in Chesterfield, Lichfield and St Neots. Teaming up with colleagues from the food and funeral business, MCC supported 7 Pride of activities over the summer as part of the Society's campaign to raise awareness of the health and well-being of the LGBTQIA+ community. We're proud of the breadth and diversity of our activity, but it's only possible thanks to the energy and enthusiasm of our membership and community councils, made up of active members just like you who want to give something back to the community. We're always on the lookout for new members to join our MCCs, so if you'd like to get involved, make sure you speak to your Member Relations Officer at the meeting this evening. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you. I recognised the voiceover. I wonder how many of you did. She's in the room tonight, here in Huntingdon. Right, in your local meetings that are coming up after questions, we'll be sharing lots more of what's been going on in your local community. So we're now coming to the question and answer session, which is an opportunity for you to have your say. So I'm going to hand over to Andy, who is going to facilitate this session. Over to you, Andy.
Thank you for that, Elaine. So before we come to questions in the room and questions from those members online and at our 4 other sites this evening, we'd like to respond to a pre-submitted question from Lawrence, who is a member attending in Lichfield this evening. Lawrence had been in touch ahead of the meeting with a question about Co-op's trading policy with Israel. So I'm going to read the question and then invite Elaine and Debbie to respond on behalf of the Society. So the question is, in early 2022, Central Co-op quite rightly boycotted Russian goods following their invasion of Ukraine. According to Save the Children, over 14,000 Palestinian children have now been killed by the Israeli military, over 26 times the number of Ukrainian children killed by the Russian military. Will the Society be reviewing its purchasing and sales of Israeli goods? Elaine.
Well, thank you very much, Lawrence, for that question. And I really do recognise how events in Israel, Palestine and the wider Middle East region deeply affect many communities and concern our members and customers. Like many of you, I've been very distressed by the news coverage and particularly the suffering of children. My thoughts are with all those who are living through this awful conflict and experiencing suffering around the world. Creating a sustainable society for all is at the heart of what we do, and being part of a wider cooperative movement in the UK and around the world is critical to achieving this for members, colleagues and their families. The cooperative movement also enables us to come together to address the devastating impacts of conflict, and Debbie will share more on this shortly. Your question specifically relates to trade, so it's useful to explain that our society is a member of the Cooperative Federal Retail and Trading Services, commonly known as FRTS. This is a pan-co-op buying group, and it supplies almost all food sold across co-op societies. FRTS, using our collective buying power to negotiate prices, source goods fairly and compete effectively with other retailers and to secure the best value for members and customers. Through this buying arrangement, we adhere to a shared human rights and trade policy, and this policy reflects our co-op values of openness and honesty and our commitment to a consistent approach to human rights and trade. The policy acknowledges that international trade can be a force for good, but in exceptional circumstances, its benefits may also be undermined. And with this in mind, withdrawing trade from any country is not a decision taken lightly. It may deprive people of an income when they're already suffering oppression. Under the human rights and trade policy, co-ops would consider withdrawing trade if a specific condition is met. And one of these conditions is where there is an international consensus that the status of a designated region or state is illegal or undetermined. And there are currently 2 areas that meet this exceptional criteria. And one is the Israeli settlements in the Palestinian occupied territories. For this reason, we do not source any product or own brand products from the Israeli settlements or engage with any supplier of produce known to be sourcing from the Israeli settlements. But I should be clear that this is not a boycott of Israeli products, and co-ops continue to source products from Israel. Like all policies, it's continually reviewed, and it's important that the movement acts collectively and as one on this issue. So I'd like to take a moment to reflect on our shared belief in humanity, a just and sustainable peace, and the role that cooperation can play in delivering both. There's a strong history of tangible action demonstrating our commitment to peace and justice for all through cooperation. And together with other cooperatives, we're exploring ways in which we can support peace through cooperation in countries impacted by conflict. And Debbie is going to share more about this now.
Thank you, Elaine, and thank you, Lawrence, for this question. The events in Israel and Palestine and the wider Middle East region really are very distressing. And we recognise that this is an issue of concern for you, our members, and for our customers. All of us at Central Co-op, together with other co-ops, are exploring ways in which we can support peace through cooperation around the world, and particularly in the communities impacted by conflict in the Middle East. There is one initiative close to my heart, and I've already covered some of it today, which is with the help of the cooperative movement, that what we can achieve together through an international cooperative development fund, which will launch in December of this year. The new fund will act as a catalyst for change, inviting donations from co-ops worldwide that can be used to empower communities and to support them to survive the crises and thrive in the aftermath, through international efforts to rebuild and sustain local cooperative economies. Your society, as a founder member of this fund, is committed to its aims and the potential for its transformative impacts around the world. And I'm pleased to report that we will be giving members and customers the opportunity to donate to the Disaster Emergencies Committee, the DEC, Middle East Appeal through our in-store Pennies micro donation scheme as part of the cooperative movement's support for this appeal. We stock many products to support communities, including One Water, a range of Oxfam products, our Malawi range that you've already heard a lot about today, Zaytoon Fair Trade Certified Organic Extra Virgin Olive Oil, which will be available in our stores later this year. The olive oil is created by Palestinian producers and farmers in the West Bank. Exploring how we, the cooperative movement, can support peace through cooperation will continue to take many forms, and I look forward to sharing the progress and the journey with you in the coming months. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine, and thank you, Debbie, for your responses to that question. We've got quite a few questions coming through from our other venues and online, but I just give those in the room the opportunity to think of a question. Tammy and Nicole, we won't come to you just yet, but if you've got a question, if you could just make yourself known to Tammy and Nicole, and we'll come to Huntingdon shortly. But firstly, we've got a question, or it's rather a theme. So we've had a question from John in Lichfield and Neil, who's online, and this is about self-checkouts, and I suppose the link between self-checkouts and theft. And the question is, to what extent of self-checkouts contributing to shoplifting in our stores?
Thank you, Andy. So theft in our stores really is a store-wide issue, and our loss prevention approach is centred on our colleagues first and the safety of our colleagues. We don't have any data that says self-checkouts drive loss, so we look at it holistically. I think the second element around checkout, we hear really favourable results from our members with checkout through the self-checkout facility as an option, which is why we offer it. So we'll continue to track those routes to checkout and those most suited to our members.
Thank you, Selena, and thank you for the question, John and Neil. We'll move on to a question now about inclusion. So we've had a few questions through on the broader theme of inclusion, but more specifically on young people. And this has come through online and at Market Harbour as well. So it's come from that meeting. And on the back of Co-op Generation, which was launched, there's an interest in terms of what are we doing to engage young people. Thinking about it from a commercial offer, from a cooperative point of view, and also reference to the apprenticeships that we've been running as well. So there's a broad question about young people, but who would like to have a go at that one?
I I think we can probably all make a contribution, because I think we all feel passionately about young people, and you know, the energy I have felt this evening in the room has come from the interaction with young people. Many of our colleagues will be aware of the various schemes that we have. We have debt-free degrees. We are using all of our apprentice levy to encourage more children to join our society and have a really fulfilling career. We've got an adopt a school scheme that's operating in funeral and in food. The idea is that you get to know the young people that are coming through the secondary schools that potentially could find future employment within our society. There's a real added benefit of that, and it's that the young people are able to engage with our colleagues and hear about some of the hideous things that are going on around crime and theft, and they are equally appalled as you all are as what's happening, and they are now saying no and not actually getting involved or tempted into crime. So the long-term bills that are really important for us, I think capturing more products and services that are relevant to young people, I would really appeal to the membership to say, make your suggestions in terms of the types of products and the goods and services that you would like to see. And the final bit from me before I hand to Selina and Elaine, who I know have got great ideas about this as well, is we have introduced a number of inclusion networks across the society, and young people is one of those, and each of the groups has an executive sponsor. I'm the executive sponsor for the women's group, but I've got a keen eye on what's happening with the young people too. They are networks, and again, colleagues in the room, I would encourage you to join the networks that are most important to you. They're not working groups, they're networks. They're there to support each other, to generate ideas and to move our society forward. So I'm sure there's...
I don't know what to add. We definitely support diversity. I think diverse ideas, they fuel innovation and they fuel our relevance, but exactly as Debbie shared, it really is around that two-way, that we need people to get involved, we need them to share their perspectives, and we'll only come up with the roles, the education programmes, the product choice, the range to suit if we hear those ideas, but we're here to listen and we're here to make sure that we iterate.
And our member and community councils do a tremendous amount of work with schools, going into schools and schools coming into our stores to create good relationships with local schools, with their local store. And I think that also helps with attitude towards crime as well.
Brilliant. Thanks to all three of you for a very, very comprehensive answer there on some of the great work we're doing with young people and our diverse communities. Tammy and Nicole, can I see, have we got any questions in the room? Has anyone put their hands up? We can come back, that's all right. We have one? Do you want to read it out?
Is it a good one?
It says, with the 4 million cash no longer being needed in the old pension pot, will the Society commit to a review of its contribution to the current pensions so that colleagues can better plan for later in life and bring its contribution in line with other employers? So ours is at currently 3%, and would we be looking at making it 5 or 6?
Yeah, well said. We couldn't agree more. I'm sure all the colleagues in the room will understand where the question's coming from, and we personally feel that too, is our pension contribution is below the market, and we're really keen. We've got quite a strong 5-year plan as to how we look to move things forward. We've made some big decisions. The first decision that we made was around pay, so we have systemically over the last few years increased pay substantially. We've moved from the lowest quartile within the industry to the upper quartile, feeling that in a cost of living crisis, helping our colleagues now was really important. In addition to that, we have 20% discount, which hopefully does help enormously. we review all of our policies on an ongoing basis and a benchmark to make sure that they are best in class. And that's around the sickness benefits, around health benefits. We have a market-leading hub which colleagues are able to get all the necessary information to make sure that they get the most out of what's on offer from the society, but it's also opened them up to a world of discounts that are available in other goods and services that they may be interested. So it's a really top priority. The money itself and the 4 million, Selina will describe, it was Selina and Sarah that did the negotiations with the pension trustees to actually relieve the society of that £4 million contribution that they've been making. So it's a really great achievement. It really helps strengthen the society, but it's not as straightforward as being able to direct that into our existing colleagues. We're actually, this is really good feedback, and what I'd suggest going forward is we look at a number of options that we could make available to colleagues where they'd actually be able to choose the one that's actually going to be most important for them. But we do recognise it's low. We've moved everything else from low to upper quartile, and we plan, along with the success of the society, to be able to make improvements to pension. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you for the question. And certainly our perspective going into the triennial valuation was around the breadth of all of our colleagues and fairness and equity in our approach to everybody's pension. So it really has been a fantastic outcome and the right outcome for everyone that we're trying to solve for. There is a subtlety in that the 4 million is cash, where any changes we make to the pension contributions for our current colleagues comes out of our profit. It doesn't mean it's a no, it just means it's a different treatment and has an impact then on the profitability of the society, which comes then against all of the choices that we make in our investments, whether it be in colleagues, whether it be in stores, whether it be any of the costs that we have. The second perspective I'd have would be around that total reward package. So one of the other aspects that we've introduced this year has been around WorkFlex. So the flexibility in how we work as well. So pensions is one contribution to what makes our total package, but what we're really committed to is making work pay and having an attractive package across the whole of that package that really makes us a top quartile employer to work for.
Thank you. Thank you for the responses to that question. We'll move on quickly to another. Try and get us another couple in, perhaps, if we can squeeze them in before we need to move on. Now, we've had a few questions in about new stores. So I had a question in Market Harborough and a question online. I suppose the theme of those is, what are our plans for new stores? And what's the Society's plans going forward for opening new stores? Who would like a go at that one?
Well, we're all aware of the new store pipeline, certainly sitting here. So our plan, again, as many of you will know, I know some of you actually run some of our new stores, and this region has had quite a few. There's one not very far from here, Alconbury Weald. It's well worth a visit. It's an amazing piece of architecture. There is a split view on the panel here as to how much we like it, but it's a brilliant new store. We're constantly on the lookout, and we do have a scheme that is available. So anybody who finds a site and that we actually go on to develop does get quite a substantial award. I think it's about £2,500. So, you know, it's well worth it. I can see people with the pens out now. That's fab. Yes, please. I have to say the new store pipeline is really healthy. But also with that comes the acknowledgement that we are in some locations that perhaps had been the centre of communities, and the community has moved, and that really what we have is a very healthy approach to recognising when a store doesn't have a long-term future in the society that we do need to dispose of, that then actually creates the cash for us to invest in new locations. But again, please, if you find new sites, we're up for it. We've got the financial capability to invest. So yeah, the more the merrier.
And we're very lucky to have the property portfolio. It's a really the third arm of the business. It creates a commercial return for us, but it's also an appreciating asset compared to some areas where it's a cost that when it's gone, it's gone. So we're very fortunate to have it. One of the duties of care to that third arm is to make sure that it is something that is recycled, regenerates over time. So definitely yes to the new sites. We will net open sites over the course of the year, but we need to make sure the performance of it as a whole portfolio is sufficient as well.
Brilliant, thank you for that. And we're almost out of time. I'm going to squeeze one last question in. This has come from Derby, so last word to Derby. The question is, why are there so many different co-op cards? And could we not just have one card instead, which you could use across all societies? And surely that would cut down on the administration cost as well, is what the question asks. So, co-op cards.
Oh,
Let's have a go at that one.
Absolutely. So frustrating to say we're cooperatives, for goodness sake. Of course, the reason that there are so many cards is that each society has their own card. Each society is independent of each other and they have every right to do that. We took a pretty big decision last year and have continued it this year. The member prices we offer to members of all societies. So what I really don't want to hear in any of our businesses is, oh, it's not that card, you need this card. We must encourage members and customers to take our card, absolutely, but we must also accept the other cards too. And there are conversations going on across all societies where we would absolutely love it if it was consistent and clear, not just in the UK, but if wherever you're travelling in the world that you would land and instead of popping up welcome to EE in Portugal, it would be your nearest co-op is, and that would include the baker that's down the road from where you are staying. And I think this is a real hope for 2025 as the UN Year of Cooperatives, that we actually do start to cooperate a bit more to truly put members at the heart of our thinking and actually make that a reality. So it's a live subject. It happens for legal reasons, but we need to do better.
But a perfect opportunity in 25 to work together in the International Year. Now, that brings us to the end of our Q&A session for this evening. Firstly, thank you to everyone who submitted a question. We didn't get the chance, as you'd expect, to get through everything, but what we will do is provide a response, and that will be available online over the coming weeks, so the team will work through all of the questions and make sure they are responded to. So thank you to everyone who submitted a question, and thank you to our panel for responding. So thank you, everyone. I'll hand back to Elaine.
So, I've come to the end of the broadcast meeting, and I'd just like to thank you for taking the time to join us tonight and to have your say. I hope you've enjoyed everything that you've seen and heard, and importantly, I hope you feel that as a member, you are a co-owner of this society. As a thank you for taking part, we will be uploading a £5 reward to your membership card, and you will receive that within the next 4 weeks. When the live stream finishes, we will now hand over to the team at each location for local updates on what's been happening in your areas and for a local question and answer session. And we look forward to seeing you at our annual meeting, which will take place at 7 o'clock on Wednesday, the 30th of April. In the meantime, please keep safe, keep shopping and keep cooperating. And thank you and good evening.